Here we have a 2013 Nissan Altima, and the problem we are having with this is especially at higher speeds, when you go to push the brake pedal you could feel a pulsing coming through the brake pedal and even a little bit of shake in the steering wheel. Now, I don't know, maybe over a year ago I replaced the front rotors, front pads, but in the rear I believe I only did the pads. Okay, I can tell because of how crusty they look compared to the front ones. Sorry about the wind noise, but today we're gonna go ahead and take care of the front pads, and we're gonna do the rear rotors and rear pads. It's the SL Altima, super luxury. Alright, so yesterday I actually had a dial indicator on the rotor just to see the amount of run out, and it did not look to be very much. Definitely not what's going to cause, you know, my pulsing brake pedal. So you can see the rotors look great on both sides. They look like this. The pads are getting low, so we're gonna go ahead and take care of the pads up front. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and zip this caliper off of here. And I'm trying to use these X-Core gear wrench swivel sockets as much as I can. X gonna give it to you. Go ahead and remove our caliper. And you know what? Let's go ahead and compress that piston right now. I'm trying to get all this done before the baby wakes up. Usually my routine, try to get up a little early, get some work done, then I have to go in the house and take care of the baby and put working on cars on hold for a little while. Just go ahead and hang this caliper up off of the strut right here. Keep that out of the way. So as you can see, the front brake pads, they're not horrible by any means. This is what the life of a new brake pad looks like. You kind of see a difference there. But the fact that the car is even here for a brake issue, which most likely is going to be the rear brakes. The owner of the car, he's the type that you know, he'd rather just go ahead and change it while the car's here, to not have to hassle with bringing it back and forth and all kinds of stuff like that. Plus, he'd rather change something out, you know, a little bit before it's due, rather than letting it go too far and it starts to like damage the rotor and things like that. Alright, let's take this hardware kit off. It's stuck on there pretty good. Just gonna go ahead and clean some of the dirt off. There isn't much, there isn't really even any rust here. It's a pretty clean caliper bracket. Slide pins move freely, but we'll clean them up and put some fresh grease on them. Using some Permatex to lube up these slide pins. Doesn't need much, you don't gotta go crazy with it. Oh yeah, burp out the system, let the air come out of it. Clean up any excess. Looking good. Alright, let's go to the bottom one. Nice. Alright, so that's all set. Go put the new hardware kit on. I just saw my neighbor's dog come around the corner over here. Luckily he turned around and left. I think it's a pit bull. And the dog occasionally escapes from its leash in its backyard. I don't like that. I'm not really fond of dogs. Just really don't like them. When I was younger, my brother and sister were both attacked by a pit bull and a Rottweiler at the same time. Almost killed both of them. So I don't trust dogs. Alright, so what I want to do is just pry on these little tabs right here in the center, just to make sure they're not making contact with the rotor. Right here as the rotor, rotates. Just make sure they're pressed in. Looks good. Okay. Yeah, that right there could cause crazy amount of noise if these little ears on top right here or on the bottom are touching the rotor as it spins. So you will find yourself taking this all back apart again, all because of something so stupid like that. Alright, now I can just slap on the pads. Normally what I would do is take this bracket completely off and chuck it in the sandblaster to get rid of any rust that's on the actual bracket itself. But in this case the bracket's pretty clean. I don't like how tight the pads fit. It just doesn't feel right. Yeah, this thing, that pad when they're real tight, and yeah, it's not gonna want to move. That doesn't feel right to me. Alright, so I'm now at the point where when the pad is in, I could actually move it in and out with my hand without any real issues. And what I had to do is, which I don't usually like doing, but I had no other option here because, well, I'll show you right now. Basically, I had to grind the tabs or the ears down a little bit. You could see the shiny spots. And I don't normally like doing this. To me, it's probably not, but I figured this is like hacking. But here's the thing, we got a new hardware kit here. The bracket itself doesn't have any rust on it. Usually that's the problem. 9 out of 10 times it's the bracket has rust on it. It's why I chuck them in the sandblaster. But this bracket is completely clean. So the only option left is the pads. We did get in the zone, auto zone. So went at them. The Dremel just took a little bit off the sides, and now the pad actually fits nicely. Pops right in and moves when I want to take it out. I still have to clearance the back pad because it just fits in there way too tight, so I have to do the same thing to this one. Alright, so I've clearanced the rear pad, as you can see, and you know what it is, it's the pads are made to fit, but after they're finished painting them, they just don't fit because it's such a tight tolerance. I'm assuming that's what's going on here, or the stamping process is crap. But it slides in there nicely. Get that lined up. And boom, it goes in without a problem now. And I could even move it if I wanted to. So we're just gonna go ahead and slap all of this back together. Get our caliper back. Put a little bit of grease right on these ears right here where it makes contact with the pad. Not going crazy with it. And on the piston as well, you're just going to make contact. Just in hopes of eliminating some brake noise. Not go ahead and put our caliper back on, you want to make sure you don't twist up this hose right here or kink it up. Yesterday was Easter. I ate so much. You know when you just eat too much that you just like unzip your pants and just want to sit down and watch TV all day? Alright, I'll go ahead and torque that down right now. So I'm just going to make myself a cup of joe. In the meantime, watch a SMA video. And once I'm done here, I'm going to get the baby ready and we will head to AutoZone to get the rear brakes. And yes, I'm fancy. Hey, you ready to go to AutoZone? You ready to get in the zone? Ooh, she's all dressed up. She got the boots with the fur. Alright, let's go. We are here with the back brakes, and honestly, I'm not seeing a warped rotor here. I tried using the dial indicator how I did up front, but there's really just nowhere to mount it here. But as you can see, I got two lug nuts holding the rotor in place to make sure it's tight against the hub. And just by spinning it and looking for any wobble, I don't see anything. Looks perfectly flat as it spins around. And it's the same exact thing on the driver's side of the car. But I'm having a hard time believing that there's a problem with these rear rotors as far as them being, warped or anything like that. I don't know. I think I'm just gonna go to the front and keep looking around, because I know I definitely felt a wobble under hard braking. Just not really ready to pull the trigger and call it the rotors. I want to keep looking. Okay, I don't know if you saw that. Basically, if I don't hold the steering wheel as tight when I'm braking, it definitely shakes a lot. Let's see. Okay, what I'm going to do next is, instead of hitting the brakes to slow down, I'm going to use the emergency brake. And what that's going to do is take the front brakes out of the equation and just give her just a little bit more direction. Okay, so as you can see, I'm doing about 45, and I'm going to hit the emergency brake now. And no, we do not get the same effect. The wobbling is not there. So that tells me that it's most likely has nothing to do with the back brakes. Because if we're slowing down with the back brakes only, it's perfectly smooth. So our problem is up front. Alright, so at this point, I've already returned the rear rotors and pads that we picked up from AutoZone, because I just don't think that we need them. And also at this point, I'm going to make the call and change these front rotors. So let's go ahead and get this caliper bracket off of here. Kind of too far away from, well, not too far away. Let's just say my air line doesn't reach out here, so I can't really use my air hammer. Okay, so I lied. All I did was grab another hose and connect it onto my air line, and now we have the length that we need. So we have the air hammer here. Now I do have my eye protection and hearing protection on, and I brought some hearing protection for you guys. So let's go ahead and get those in here. let's get this party started. We got the laxative right here. That's what I call my little air hammer. Because if it's stuck, this should free it up. There we go. So here's the back of the rotor. As you can see, it doesn't look too bad. I'm just going to try to clean up this surface right here on the hub. Okay, now I can just go ahead and clean up the surface right here. Okay, what's going on? Yeah, I don't know how Eric O does this. Maybe it's different. Let me try a different brand. Nope. Okay, so, but let's go ahead and clean this hub off. Just applying a little bit of grease here, just to give it a fighting chance the next time, or at least slow down the process of the rust that builds up in here. Alright, so I've already given these new rotors from AutoZone, not a sponsor, a good douching with some brake parts cleaner. Go ahead and slap this caliper back on. Alright, sorry for skipping so far ahead, but I got held up with some things and I had to get this one back on the road. But it actually was the rotors. Let's see, let's get up to speed now, about 40, 50 miles per hour, hit the brakes, and nice and smooth. There's no more wobble in the steering wheel. I don't feel any pulses coming from the brake pedal. So that is amazing, because we checked the rotors with the dial indicator and there wasn't that much run out as you could see, yet it translated to a pulse in the brake pedal. One more time, nice and firm pedal, and yep, no more shaking. So this one's all set. Just gonna take it back to the garage, check all the lug nuts. And also there is something vibrating underneath the car, and I know exactly what it is because on our Altima we had the same exact issue. It's a metal ring that goes around the flex pipe and it's just there dangling. So what I ended up doing on ours is just cutting off the ring, and it gets rid of all that rattling noise. And there we go. Nice shiny rotors, set of new pads. And let's go underneath the car and look at that thing that's making noise that I was talking about. So here it goes right here. It's this thing. I don't want to touch it with my hand because it's hot, of course, but I'm just going to hit it with the camera. So it's that piece. Just kind of dangling around here and making noise. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut it off. Alright, so we are just about done with this one. This just goes to show that even though a rotor looks fine, it doesn't always mean that it is. And sure, it could have been the rust that's between the hub and the rotor itself. So if you're on a budget or you're trying to fix this problem, you know, with a shaking steering wheel or a pulsing brake pedal without any parts, sure, take the rotors off and see if there's any rust behind there. If there is, clean it off of the backside of the rotor and the face of the hub. Put it back together, take it for a test drive. That very well may be your problem right there. So it's worth a shot. But in this case, we had the new rotors and the pads for it, so it was going to get them. And I talked to the owner, and he was perfectly fine with that. But yeah, this one's fixed, and I just really want to get down to the bottom of this and really see for myself what was going on and make sure we were making the right call. I'm glad we took the back brakes and took them back to the store and did not waste money on that. And that was, using the test of pushing the emergency brake while driving, it helped us eliminate that, and we didn't have to waste money on those rear brakes. So I'm going to go ahead and leave the video right here. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Like always, consider subscribing, and thanks for watching.